Greetings, students. Today is going to be a slow restorative justice day. In light of everything that's happening right now, once again, civil unrest, police terrorism, and Black people. So I'm going to read from a text, a companion to African American philosophy, edited by Tommy L. Lott and John P. Pittman. The moral and political legacy of slavery. The justification of slave revolts grounded the early appeal of Black nationalism for unity and emancipation. What does that mean? So, during American slavery, they are saying that during slave revolts, actually, I don't even know that this is just in discussing just American slavery. However, whenever slaves revolted, it was justified by the need for emancipating them from bondage and a way for them to unify. It goes on to say, to advocate violence as a means of liberation presupposes that such intentional social action can be carried out by slaves, a recognition of their agency and their ability to engage in reflective thought regarding their plight. So it just means to be free, and violence was a way to free themselves in society, and it had to come from them. And this was a way to express themselves from their situation. So it goes further to say Lewis Gordon's contention that the history of Black thought in America has been shaped by these existential circumstances must be well taken. So Black intellectuals in America shaped those circumstances, right, and understood any type of revolt or revolution. As in the historic case of Native Americans, the rationale for this policy was that Blacks are not full-fledged humans. Oh, let me back up. In the white mind of 19th century America, the alternative to slavery was extermination. So yeah, before they enslaved Black people specifically, well, actually, I'm not going to just say specifically African people that they brought from the continent, because we do know the history books are different and they do not tell us everything. However, there is documentation to prove that Blacks were here and became enslaved. However, before they enslaved Black people, what did they do to the indigenous people here, whom we refer to as Native Americans? So then it goes on to say, as in the historic case of Native Americans, the rationale for this policy was that Blacks are not full-fledged humans. None of the indigenous people were considered humans by any such colonizer. So as long as you understand that premise, you'll understand historical jargon. And I will just read this last section. Under conditions of enslavement, the entire social apparatus was constructed to maintain this view of African Americans, setting the stage for a protracted struggle for social change that continues into the present. I will reread that. So if it is believed that African Americans are not human, then this follows and must be true. Under conditions of enslavement, the entire social apparatus was constructed to maintain this view of African Americans, setting the stage for a protracted struggle for social change that continues into the present. If you understand they're talking about a social construct, which can be also viewed as a social contract, which is something as simple as your driver's license. It is a social contract between you and the people that we consider our government. So as we move into September to discuss the United States of America's history, using our curriculum, I'm also going to supplement with other historical facts that just weren't really discussed. So we will stop there because it gets a little complex at that point. But I believe you understand where I'm coming from with that. I also want to read from Skill and Action. A few definitions. Lightheaded. So, oppression. Oppression is the subjugation of one group of people to elevate another group of people. Often it involves violence, but isn't limited to physical violence. It can include emotional, mental, spiritual, and psychic violence as well. Think about that for a moment. Privilege. Privilege is the societal benefits bestowed upon people socially, politically, and economically. Privilege can be based on race, class, age, ability level, mental health status, gender identity, and sex. Think about that. White supremacy. White supremacy is an ideology and belief system that is based on a hierarchy of constructed racial categorizations where white is at the top, black is at the bottom, and everyone else is in between white and black. Think about that. Dominant culture conditions us to believe that white supremacy should only be applied to hateful individuals or hate groups such as the Ku Klux Klan. It is important to understand that white supremacy is a belief system that perpetuates the idea that white is superior. There are images of that everywhere. As long as you understand that, then you understand white supremacy. Racism. Racism is racial prejudice and social and institutional power. Racism is advantage based on race. Racism is oppression based on race. Racism is a white supremacy system. So that just included those other definitions, right? I'll stop there. Only because the rest gets into more of a spiritual belief. I want to leave you with those definitions. You can write how you're feeling about any of those, or you can use these definitions in case you can't see the chats. Here's the date: Restorative Justice number 4. Number 1, community. Number 2, mediation. Number 3, victim. Number 4, offender. This is directly from our Restorative Justice Unit 4. And I will send the last unit on Tuesday, I believe. I may actually send it Monday, since Tuesday we're starting U.S. history. Thanks for watching.